Let's do this. The Cult of Hockey podcast by the faithful and for the faithful. I'm David Staples of the Edmonton Journal, and I'm here today with Bruce McCurdy. Hey, Bruce.
Hey, David. How you doing tonight?
Good, Bruce. Happy birthday.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks,
How'd you
Oilers, for
celebrate?
celebrating it so ably on my behalf. Well, I had a nice birthday dinner with my family. That was kind of the highlight of it. And a beautiful walk today. Just such gorgeous weather for this time of year. I can't remember too many birthdays at plus 17.
Oh, that is nice, isn't it? Yeah. I was inside. We were making Thanksgiving dinner today.
Oh, yeah.
And so I was in the kitchen all day long, cleaning and helping out cooking. And so I didn't get outside, actually, but I'm glad it was nice out, and I'm glad that you enjoyed it. Bruce, the Oilers 0-3 to start the year, lost to the Calgary Flames. I was thinking, they're going to win the next two after they lost the first one. You know, they'll have 2 wins and 1 losses. But I have to say, Jason Strudwick, I was listening to their Got Your Back podcast, and last night he predicted the Oilers would lose this game. And his prediction was, you just can't turn it on, and you need practices to figure it out. You need to practice. And after watching tonight's game, wow, was he ever right? When the Oilers lose in the McDavid-Draisaitl era, Bruce, they tend to lose the same way, with absolute crap defensive hockey, where they just gift goals to the other team. And that's what I saw tonight, was just terrible defensive breakdowns in a winnable game for the Edmonton Oilers, although the Flames played really well, actually. And the margin of play was actually more in the opposition's favor than in the previous games in some ways.
Oh, yeah.
Because of, the grade A shots were 16-9 for the Calgary Flames, with a subset of 5 alarm shots, the most dangerous shots, 7-5 for Calgary. So Calgary, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. The odd thing. Remember last night we were at complete odds with Natural Stat Trick?
Yeah.
And their high danger chances that they had at 14-1 for Edmonton. Well, tonight they had high danger chances at, wait for it, 16-9 for Calgary. So they wouldn't have been the same 16 or the same 9, but they got the exact same share that we got.
Yeah.
With their scraping versus our eye test.
They're scraping.
Calgary was the better team in this game.
Yeah.
There's no question about it, by some margin.
Our totals are going to be throughout the year significantly different than theirs. Like, we count shot velocity, they don't. We count shots off the post. Do they? I think they do count that.
They count where the shot comes from. They count missed shots.
Yeah, they count missed shots. We don't. We count grade A
shots.
We're only counting grade A shots. We're not counting scoring opportunities or chances. We're counting actually grade A shots, which are shots that hit the net, incling the post. So that's significantly different.
Shots on net. They count shots from the
dribblers,
the slot, whereas we will count hard shots against moving goaltenders from an angle that would be outside of their parameters for what's high danger. But in our parameters, if the goalie's moving and the shooter's got some net to shoot at, that's probably a high danger look, even if he's off to the side, right? But
we're much more likely to count a Leon Draisaitl one-timer from outside the home plate area, which going about 33% of the time. But their scraping might miss that as a high danger shot. Anyway, so that's why those totals are different. Bruce, this is our 2 good things.
Yeah.
2 good things. Yeah, not tonight. 2 good things, 2 bad things, and 2 numbers podcast. What's your good thing?
Yeah, I got literally 1 good thing out of this game, I think, and that's Jeff Skinner. And I thought he had an excellent game. Scored early for the Oilers. Just 1 minute and 16 seconds into the game, he got the lone goal for the Oilers. That counted. And he did it by he actually had a good sequence or a good contribution earlier in the sequence, and then as the puck got cycled around, he did what the good goal scorers do, and he kind of found the soft ice on the weak side away from where the puck was. And when Ekholm pounded in a point shot off of netminder Dan Vladar. I think I called him by his wrong name earlier this season. Dan Vladar. And the rebound punted right out to where Skinner was waiting, and he just slammed it home. And no mistake. And indeed, that's how almost all the goals were scored in this game was rebounds, 3 of the 4. But the one by Edmonton, again, the one that counted, was Skinner. What that was far from his only good work of the night. He had, at the end, he led the Oilers with 6 shots on net. He led them with 9 shot attempts. He co-led them with 2 hits. So played bully boy as well. I'm going to talk more about hits a bit later on, but let's just leave it at where it wasn't him that wasn't providing the physical pressure. He also he laid on the lumber a couple of times. Somebody hit McDavid, and Skinner just carved him a couple, and no call. But I thought Buddy had it coming, so no call is the right call. But he's got some edge to him, and that sure is welcome, especially in this, as you call it, vanilla early stage of the season, where the team just doesn't seem to have a whole lot of fight or pushback. I thought Skinner showed plenty of that in this game. He rang another shot off the crossbar that really could have changed things in the third period. And a couple of dangerous shots from various angles. When he shoots, he seems to get the puck on the net for the most part. And he was dangerous offensively. And I thought, he not great defensively, but he didn't hurt them. And he played a pretty solid game. I was frankly expecting him to get the token third star for the home team, but in the end, all 3 stars went to Calgary. But Skinner easily could have deserved it based on his performance as the best of the Edmonton Oilers in this game.
I like the move putting him with McDavid and Hyman.
Yeah, I didn't mention that. Yeah.
If you think about it, that line needs a sniper. If McDavid especially isn't going to be the sniper, if he's going to be a distributor, Hyman goes to the net. I mean, Hyman is a sniper in his way, but he's not really an outside sniper. He's more of an inside sniper. So you have this guy, Skinner, who's, he's kind of he's not Brett Hull, but he's kind of in the Brett Hull mood, looking for the quiet place on the ice where the defenders aren't looking for him and he can get off a good shot. And he does have a bit of game, and I'm glad, I'm really relieved, honestly. I haven't known what to expect from this player. I was worried that he would be just a little bit too much of a floater, maybe a bit past his prime, and be kind of a Camilleri-like disappointment on the Oilers this year.
Better than Camilleri at this stage of his career compared to when we got Camilleri.
Camilleri was 2 or 3 years older.
Player. Yeah.
Yeah. But Skinner he's got some game. And I think that was an inspired move by the coach, putting him on the top line. That'll actually be my good thing, Bruce. I didn't really have much of a good thing. Connor Brown's breakaway in the third period was pretty good, but I actually thought that was a hell of a move. And also, I think Draisaitl has worked well with Nugent Hopkins in the past. At times, most famously in 2019-20 when Draisaitl won the Hart Trophy for the NHL's most valuable player and formed the dynamite line. Draisaitl, Yamamoto, and Nugent Hopkins, they just ripped up the league in the second half of the season. So Nuge has worked well with Draisaitl, and if you're trying to create that dynamite chemistry, Arvidsson's a good replacement for Yamamoto. He's a better player. He's a physically slightly bigger, wider player than Yamamoto. So you could see once Draisaitl gets his game going, and he better get it going here, that line could also work. So I like that move by the coach, and I hope he sticks with it. I think that it might be a recipe for attacking, although really the issue on the Oilers is defensive play. They've got to get their heads out of their butts on defense. Bruce, what is your bad thing?
Yeah, I'll pass up my golden opportunity to rip the refs, who I wasn't really happy with, uh, on the Perry goal, and I'm going to rip an Oiler for the other disallowed goal. Victor Arvidsson, what are you doing? On the play where they're entering the zone on a short pass up the middle, where the thrust is coming right up the middle, and Arvidsson on the boards 40 feet from the puck and 100 feet from the net decides he needs to jump in and time his entry into the zone perfectly, except for, of course, he doesn't. And he's in the zone ahead of the pass, and what was a beautiful passing play, resulting in a great looking goal by Derek Ryan. That was Skinner too, wasn't it? That was in on
Mm-hmm.
that. Did the give and go with Ryan for the great finish, and all of that actual execution by the Oilers, which has been not that common, wasted by a player not paying attention 100 feet from the play. Like, it's not like he was integral to it and he just was, a split second early. He had nothing to do with it. His job was stay on side and then, join as a trailer and maybe, look for the loose change afterwards. Well, he didn't do that. He anticipated and he anticipated wrong. And it was a costly mistake. And I hate to say it, but not the first one this season already by Victor Arvidsson, who shows lots of good things. But in the plays that he's made that are consequential to games, including a major turnover last night on the Bedard goal that basically
Mm-hmm.
was the one that put that game away for Chicago, where Arvidsson, he mishandled the puck basically twice in the offensive zone and came hard the other way. And you can do a lot of things right, but if you make the wrong mistake at the wrong time and the wrong outcome ensues, you've undone all that good work and maybe more besides. So, Victor Arvidsson, you're my bad thing, man. You gotta be sharper than that. That's just not good enough.
Yeah, around that second period, Connor Zary burst into the zone. Calgary was rushing the puck. There was a shot. Skinner gave a big rebound, and Zary almost put it in. But that was Arvidsson's man, and he just let him
Uh,
go right by.
just snuck right by him, didn't he?
Snuck right by Arvidsson. So, and Skinner in that second period, I mean, he actually played really well. Like, he kept the Oilers in the game, man. There were some big saves there. Bruce, my bad thing is these Oilers zone defense in the third period. And both the second and the third Calgary zone goals were like uh, unreal bad when it comes to the defensive reads that were being made within the zone. The third one, there's an outside shot, and there's two defenders in front of the net for the Oilers, and there's two Flames. And Darnell Nurse abandons his defender to go play the puck to
Try and
block it.
front the shot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
front the shot, and the rebound goes right to his man and it's plumped in the
Tucks
net.
it.
Like, that's not the idea of the zone. I'm pretty sure it's stick with your man. Stick with your man. Cover your man. Do your job.
Yeah.
And again,
Well,
it's
not the
him trying to
goalie.
do too much. It's the same old Darnell Nurse curse of trying to do too much and getting burnt because of it. And he started off the season with some solid bursts of play, including in this game. But
Yeah.
then there's a play like that, and it's like so consequential. This
Yeah.
the game is still close at that point. Stick with your man in the defensive slot. What are you doing? But the goal before that, the second goal was even worse. And Bruce, it was 38, 46 seconds of zone time for the Flames against Connor McDavid and Ekholm and Hyman that were out there, and Dermott. So I can't remember who the fifth guy was, but Bruce,
Well,
that
yeah.
if that was the worst zone defense I think I've seen the Oilers play. There was 7 passes that sliced right through that zone.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them were there was about 3 times they went right straight across the in front of the net with passes, cross-seam passes in front of the net. And as far as I can tell, this is because McDavid and Hyman were way too high in the zone. They're being too aggressive. They're trying to get the puck and score a goal, which is great, but they're not sitting back in the zone and doing what the zone does, which is prevent grade A shots and seam passes. To get seam, these are all outstanding hockey players, and for them to get seam pass repeatedly on the same shift is so unbelievably embarrassing. I think, like that is unreal to see that level of defensive play, in my opinion, from seasoned veteran hockey players like that. And it was just, again, I couldn't believe how many times how they were throwing it around. And once they almost scored about 20 seconds into it. The puck goes to Mantha in the slot, and he has a wide open shot, and he just manages to hit some players in front of the net
Right.
before they finally do put the puck in the net.
Yeah, that
And
was dangerous.
when the puck finally goes in the net, it's because Hyman has decided to follow his player as if it's man to man back to the net, which then the one of the reasons they created this zone defense was the Oilers defensemen, who are best qualified to defend in front of the net, were running around against Las Vegas in the 2023 playoffs, getting pulled way out to the blue line and beyond sometimes, and all over the zone playing man to man. And the Oilers just thought, let's keep our defensemen and park them in front of the net and have them do their job. And it worked really well in the playoffs last year, Bruce. That system works. It is an excellent system of defensive hockey. So Ekholm is then chasing the puck out to the blue line because Hyman's gone back to the net. And it's Hyman then who's left to defend in front of the net when the shot comes in.
Oh.
And it's Hyman's man who scores. This is just...
Ekholm playing left wing and Hyman playing left defense, just like they drew it up. And guess what? Hyman can't handle the guy in front of the net because he's used to being the handler in front of the other net. I mean, it's a little different job on the defensive side of the puck. And he just was not able to contain big Anthony Mantha. Well, that's where you maybe want to have big Matthias Ekholm on the guy rather than him running out to the blue line trying to block the point shot.
You know those military acronyms where you start with SNAFU and then you go to FUBAR?
Yes,
and then there's
do.
One beyond FUBAR. I can't remember what it is, but this was that. And okay. Anyway, this should be Exhibit A in the film room, and just watch it again and again and again and think about it and don't do it again.
Well, McDavid's shift was 49 seconds. He came out with the puck in the neutral zone and immediately went into Edmonton's zone and stayed there until the puck was in the net. And after that first dangerous chance, I counted Calgary making 10 consecutive passes in the Edmonton zone, with several of them being the cross seamers of the type you described. And Calgary was pressing and Edmonton was chasing. And eventually the Oilers got sucked out of their positions. And it was, it looked like Harlem Globetrotters against Washington Generals there for a while, and I never liked being the Washington Generals in any highlight package. It's never a good thing.
You'd think they'd get it out of their system, but I do think with these offensive hockey players, like these guys, listen, McDavid and Hyman were they're obviously they're just offensive geniuses, right? Like Hyman is such an incredible attacker, and McDavid is McDavid. They're just so keen about scoring and putting pressure, and it just backfired. And the Oilers are not going to be getting out of this particular slump until they commit mentally and develop again the habits of solid defensive hockey. And we didn't see it on that goal. So, all right, we're going to be moving on now to our...
I have a cat who can't decide which side of the door she wants to be on, other than when it's closed, she wants to be on the other side.
I think we had simultaneous...
The third one is Tarfu. Things are really effed up.
I think there's another one too.
Is there?
I think we had simultaneous cat attacks at our doors. Bruce, my cat also came in here. Let's see, Tarfu, Snafu, FUBAR. Oh, Tarfu, yeah.
Tarfu and also FUBAR, but
Bohica. Yeah. I don't know what that one is.
We're on the same web page. Yeah. Bend over, here it comes again. So the Oilers were Bohica on that Perry no goal call. There you go.
You know what? That was the right call on Perry, Bruce. We don't agree on that, but he was in the
I hate
crease.
it.
I know you hate it, but that's called all the time in the NHL. Like that is the standard. He blocked the goalie a little bit. He was clearly in the crease. You cannot. He just needed to be 2 inches, and he still could have tipped the puck in. Like it was a hell of a play. He just needed to
Mm-hmm.
be 2 inches more. His skates on the out, just on the outside of that crease, and probably no problem. Although sometimes they even call you if the goalie makes a big show of bashing into you, even when you're outside the crease. Sometimes they call that now too. But I think it would have counted, and it was just brutal. And then the second goal called back. I mean, the Oilers they needed a break desperately, and they couldn't get it. But I think the refs made the right calls
I just remember
by the
Corey
NHL standard.
Perry as a member of the Anaheim Ducks, and that call would never have gone against him with that team in a century. It just wouldn't. So I'm a little bummed. You know, you have the refs saying, "Oh, gee, what do we say to Corey?" Well, he took out Talbot's blocker. That's what you say to him. It's no goal. But no, that was good. So it's frustrating. Anyway, it
I
was,
think I think the one that I had in mind was FUBU,
well,
which is um, um, put it politely, fouled up beyond all understanding. It's, it's
okay. Yeah,
that's what
that's,
that sequence was. Okay, Bruce, what's your number? Tell everybody about your
yeah, my
stat.
number is hits.
Okay.
And this is not good enough, Edmonton Oilers. It is nowhere near good enough in the so-called battle of Alberta. Battle. And Calgary had 27 in this hit game, which is not a huge number. And Edmonton had 13, which is flat out feeble. 13 hits. And even those counts, I mean, they don't necessarily mean anything because, big hit, small hit, imaginary hit, they all count the same. Well, I would say Calgary had easily the five biggest hits in this game and maybe more. There were some real crushing hits. Draisaitl got demolished by big number 58. And Pospisil was throwing his weight around the whole game. And the Oilers just didn't seem to have any kind of physical answer to it. They had a few guys that had two hits and a whole bunch of guys that had none. I mean, obviously they average less than one per player when you have 13 out of 18 skaters. And on the decor, Blake Dermott, big bully Blake Dermott, or sorry, Travis Dermott. I'm going to keep doing that.
If
I'll
it was
mess,
Blake Dermott,
but
there'd be more hitting.
yeah, you're right about that. Anyway, Travis Dermott had two, and Evan Bouchard had one, and Matthias Ekholm, Darnell Nurse, Brett Kulak, and Troy Stetcher each had zero. I thought Nurse was actually playing physical and pushing around and getting into the winning some greasy battles down low, and got into a real decent scrum after the whistle. In the first period, I thought he was the the most pushy backy of any of the Oilers. And mostly I thought he was decent, but then he made that fatal blunder on the 3-1. And as my earlier comment about Arvidsson holds true for Nurse, you make one mistake at the wrong time, it undoes an awful lot of good, especially when the good things don't really impact the scoring and the mistake does. And that's what happened to him as with Arvidsson.
Yeah. Bruce, my number is related to Jeff Skinner. And when he came, one of my concerns was, again, not knowing the player, and I hadn't even looked at his stats yet. My thought was, oh, if he's just a power player, we're in trouble here,
Oh, he's not.
because, but so he, what he's known for is scoring goals, and in the last two seasons plus the first few games of this season, Bruce, the top Edmonton Oiler for goals per 60 at 5-on-5 is Zach Hyman, and he's at 1.3 goals per 60 5-on-5, and he's 15th overall in the NHL. Connor McDavid is 20th overall in the NHL at 1.18 goals per 60 5-on-5 in those 2 years and a handful of games this year. Connor McDavid is 20th at that. In 19th spot is Jeff Skinner, 1.19 goals per 60, 5-on-5, 19th. So he is an elite, even strength goal scorer the last 2 seasons. And that could be big for the Edmonton Oilers when they turn this around. That could be big to have that kind of scoring ability in the playoffs. And I like the idea of McDavid, Skinner, Hyman. I hope they stick with that. That just has the right feel to it. Seeing it tonight in action, seeing Skinner coming on the last couple of games, that could work. And man, they need to manufacture some goals because they're not getting them. So he's not much of a power player. He doesn't score a lot of goals in the power play, like often fewer than 10 per year.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure about him on the power play. But
That's
if
good.
they
You don't really
decide,
need him on the first power
no,
play anyway. You know, the
that's
second
right.
power play is only going to get scraps. In the last, since the beginning of 21-22, which is 3 full seasons,
Yeah.
plus a couple games, he has 149 even strength points, which ranks him in the top 40 of the NHL. One behind Nazem Kadri and tied with Philip Forsberg, his former line mate Tage Thompson, and Brandon Hagel, all at 149. So, you know, that's first line scoring. I mean, anywhere in the top 96 is first line, right? And he's in the top 40. Like, that's good. And 3 years is not exactly a tiny sample. And these are 3 years into his 30s. It's not like, you know, he used to be good and he's begun the big slide. I don't think that to be the case. So
It's
I
interesting
have
they bought him
hopes
out,
for
eh?
this player. Hmm?
It's interesting the Buffalo bought him out.
Yeah.
Because his
Yeah,
level of
last year he was so, and it was just too much, that contract. I mean, at 3 million, he's a steal. At 9 million, you know, you expect a guy to be dominant. And
3 years remaining on his 8-year deal when they bought it out. So that is a lot of time left on the deal. Yeah, at 1 year, this is a good price. It looks like this is based on that amount of production, offensive production, if they can get him to play defense, um, that'll be a good move. That'll be a good move for Edmonton. Okay, when's the next game, Bruce?
Tuesday night, they got one off day to lick their wounds, and ideally you want to have a practice, but you also have to, you know, already playing, you know, 3 games in 4 days, and they go on a road trip. They play Thursday night, Saturday afternoon. So, you know, uh, I mean,
They better practice.
in my black heart of hearts, uh, I want to hear that they've had a what's the name of those drills?
Bag skate.
No, not the bag skate. The one where they have to go through the other guys. You know, the battle drills or whatever they
Yeah,
call them.
battle drills. Okay.
Because they've come out second best on way too many of those. Way too many of those. And at the same time, like, I don't know that it would be productive in the end. Like, they're just starting from further back. They expended more energy last year than other teams, and they have less time to recover. And I think that's clearly showing at this stage that they just don't have what it takes to really compete in these games against middling NHL teams. It's not like they're, you know, not like they're playing the powerhouses. Winnipeg obviously is a strong team, and they clobbered them. And now Chicago and Calgary have walked out of Edmonton's barn with 3 goal wins on consecutive nights. I mean, 3 goals for, 15 against. 3 goals. 3 goals. 3 home games. A long time since that happened.
Yeah. So, you know, like when the Oilers lose, like my friends and family who are like don't watch the Oilers that close, they always ask me, "What's wrong with them?" And it seemed like everything was wrong with them. But if I had to pick the one thing, it is this: their defensive play is just they're not their heads are not in the game, executing the defensive zone. Um, they're just not battling hard enough, and they're not bearing down hard enough, and they're not remembering their assignments well enough. They're not making their reads well enough, and they've got to get that going. They've got to start playing division champion level defensive hockey. And they did it last year, and they won 16 in a row. Was that what it was?
16 straight.
Yeah. So they
And
did
they
that.
gave up hardly any goals in that.
They did it last year. They can do it.
Yeah.
They did it in the playoffs. They got to do it now, and they got to do it. They got to get it going. Otherwise, they're going to be in a big hole again this year.
Let's not wait till U.S. Thanksgiving this year, eh, guys?
Yeah.
I
Just
don't know. Like
play
the tea
defense.
leaves are not sitting in a good spot. Like they just don't seem to have the oomph. And this was a game they came out, showed some soon, and by the third period, they were the second period even. They were the second best team.
Yeah.
So.
Having a couple goals called back might take the wind out of your sails. So there's also
but
that.
They asked Hyman about that in the post game, and he says, we know those things happen. We were playing well. We just have to keep doing what we were doing, and we didn't. Or words to that effect.
Nonetheless, yeah, that's the right answer.
I mean, yeah,
good answer, but
yeah,
nonetheless,
you keep grinding, but when Calgary got a couple of goals, it seemed like there was no answer.
It's never easy with the Oilers. Like even in the playoffs, like it's just this isn't a team that's ever made it easy on itself. They've yet to win a series, sweep a series. They just it's always tough.
Yeah.
I guess it makes it interesting for us fans, Bruce. It's a gift. It's a gift to you on your birthday.
It's not the first word I would use to describe my present state of mind, David.
It's an intriguing aspect of this team.
Mm.
They're an enigma wrapped in a puzzle, wrapped in intrigue. All right, enough. Thanks, Bruce. Thanks for talking tonight.
All right, thanks for listening, everyone.
And in the meantime, and in between times, this has been another edition of the Cult of Hockey podcast.